Anxiety. Do you suffer from emotions associated with anxiety, such as worry, apprehension, nervousness? Maybe you're nervous. Fears. Maybe you've had a terrifying, horrible experience. Would you like a technique for that? Hello. I'm Steve Barham. I'm Happiness Today on Twitter for Happiness is No Charge, which is the name of my work. Do you suffer from anxiety? I do. I had a thyroid burnout, and lack of thyroid has as symptoms gives us anxiety and even depression. So I have episodes. So this video is on anxiety and how my technique that I discovered can stop it and helps it. Okay? What keeps an emotional state like anxiety in play? I've found that it's the chronically turned on emotions of anxiety. And would you like a technique to turn those emotions off, at least for this episode? I'm not saying you're going to get rid of all of your anxiety and never have it again. Okay? I'm saying that this particular episode can be stopped. It can reduce, and it can even cease. This particular episode might not even come back as a flashback. A lot of flashbacks are based and driven by the emotions behind the flashback. This is a psychosomatic phenomenon. I studied psychosomatic phenomenon for 2 years back in the 70s. Okay? That's where I got a lot of my training. Well, we stop flashbacks by stopping the negative emotion in the flashback, and that includes some anxiety emotions. Well, what are those? I just happen to have a list. Okay, I made a list once. Okay, so anxiety emotions, basically any type of small, mild concern or worry is the beginning of the anxiety range of emotions. It's like a spectrum. There's a spectrum of different emotions and different emotional waves, and you have all these different emotions, and at this end you have the mild ones, and at this end you have the severe ones. Okay? So at the milder end, we have worry, but then it can become over-worrying. Okay, over-worry, ruminating thoughts, scenario building. If this, if this, if this, if this, if I can just do this, if I can just do that, if. Okay, ad infinitum sometimes, and the brain just won't shut off because it's full of anxiety. Okay? Anxiousness, nervousness, anxiousness. I'm anxious about something. Okay? That's why they call it anxiety, I guess. We have expectations of more stress. The subconscious mind is expecting more stress as a pattern. It sees and associates a pattern of this stress and this stress and this stress and this stress, and now I'm worried about another stress. I expect another stress. I anticipate another stress. The subconscious is anticipating another stress. Anticipation can be a part of anxiety. And over-anticipation. Doubts. Doubts and doubts and doubts and doubts. Doubting yourself. Doubting your choice. Doubting your, Doubting everything in your existence, everything you ever learned, was it true or not, or whatever, This brings about uncertainty, and uncertainty as an emotion. Okay, I ran into it one day, and I did my technique on it. It went away. It took a while, but it went away, and I had a great weekend. Okay, it did not return, even though the situation was ongoing. Okay, so there's a certain amount of insecurity in anxiety because we don't know. We are uncertain about what the heck is going to happen next. Okay, when is the other shoe going to drop, right? Uncertainty. Trepidation. We're getting into mild fear. Okay, a trepidation. Okay. Apprehension. This is one of the things that is needed for a diagnosis of anxiety, is avoidance, arousal, and apprehension. Is that okay? Is that all right? Is this all right? There was a guy in an institution once. I read a book on nursing. Okay, there was a guy in an institution once. He wanted to know if it was okay to eat. He had an apprehension about, is it okay for me to eat this? He had an uncertainty. Is it okay for me to eat it? I'm not hurting anybody by eating this, am I? Okay? He had a confusion there. They eventually helped him. Okay? So we are cautious, we are wary, we are leery of something. Okay? Intimidation. Intimidation means to instill fear. So when we are intimidated, we are starting to feel fear. Okay? So there can be fear and distress and phobias, fears, and that phobia may or may not be what the phobia seems to be about. Okay? You can have a arachnophobia, fear of spiders, right? But it might not be the spider that you're actually afraid of, but something associated with spiders may be in the subconscious. Okay, I had a friend, his daughter was afraid to go up the stairs at school. It's high school. Okay, and she'd get up on the stairs to go up to the second floor. She couldn't do it. She had to come back down. Okay, she could do it with somebody helping her. Okay, but she couldn't go up the stairs. Turns out she's not afraid of the stairs, although you might call it stairophobia, right? Okay, it's not. It's really second floorophobia. Okay, she'd had a bad experience on the second floor, doesn't want that to happen again, so she avoids the second floor. Her subconscious gives her the fear signal and petrifies her on the stairs before she gets to the second floor. See, it's not really about the stairs. You get the warning before the danger. Okay? So where was the dangerous place? On the second floor. So you can't be on the second floor, so you get the warning signal on the stairs. So it's not really stairophobia, and it might not actually be agoraphobia or what's it called? Oh, anthropophobia, fear of people. Okay, it might not be the social event phobia. It might be the people you might just meet there. There's a leeriness that I will meet the narcissist across the street at potluck here at the mobile home park. Okay, I don't want that. So I do my technique and I still go to potluck, and even if he sits right next to me, it doesn't bother me. I'll handle it. Okay? I learned how to handle narcissists. It's fun. So there can be paralytic fear, petrified, what we call petrified. When I go up on the roof, I was going to go up on the roof, check a leak, right? I get up to the top of the ladder, just like my friend's daughter, I couldn't move. I had a shooting shock of paralytic fear running down my back into my legs. I couldn't lift my foot to go up to the ladder. Okay, I come down all in a huff. I do my technique, and it doesn't take months or weeks or days to do this technique and get benefit. It didn't even take hours. It took about 15-20 minutes of doing the technique, and the next day I went up on the roof. Okay, technique works very well on negative emotions. Another one in anxiety is horror. We talk about the horrors of war. Well, there are a lot of horrors, okay, and not just war, okay. There's the horror of fighting with family. You know, people you're supposed to love and care about and whatever, and people who are supposed to love and care about you, but, you know, we end up arguing and fighting, and it is just horrific sometimes, okay. Then there's terrified. Terror, in terror, okay? This is a traumatized state. This is a traumatized level. Levels of anxiety are levels of trauma, but they can be mild to severe, but they are a traumatized state at around this level, okay? Of terrified or horrified. It's trauma and traumatized and traumatization, and in this there is a real big factor called shock. Terror. Okay, just shock. Okay, mortified or whatever. There's shock. Okay. So there can be shock and stark raving terror. Panic. Panic has a lot of shock, and it can be psychosomatic. I have had psychosomatic events of panic attacks. I stop them with my technique. Now, while it took quite a while for some of them, normally it doesn't take a lot of time. So sometimes it might take, I had 3 trips over and back to another town while I was having this anxiety attack or panic attack. Actually it turned out to be a memory. It was more nervousness than anything else, but it was a memory of my first panic attack. And it took half hour over and back 3 times to get rid of it. The 4th time I didn't feel anything. Okay, so it can take a while. Okay, that took days. Okay, that took days. That took hours, about 3 hours cumulative timing. Okay, most of the time it doesn't take that long. We're talking minutes, 15 to 20 minutes maybe. Depends on what it is and depends on the intensity, okay, of the event. So there can be hysteria in anxiety. I put it at the lower end of the anxiety range. This is overwrought and distraught. You can be in a breakdown of why this, oh, what am I going to do, just panicky and distraught and overwrought. Okay? And then there is utter shock and numb. This is when you are left at the bottom of anxiety. Okay, like a drained balloon, you know, you're just deflated and, you know, nothing. Okay, just shock, utter shock and numb. This is the bottom range of hysteria. Okay, and actually kind of the beginning area of depression, because they talk about emptiness and hollowness and nothingness. Okay, it's a state of shock and numb. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, as a researcher, it's been 10 years of doing this technique on myself, and also other people have used it for really severe depressions and anxiety and just normal things. You know, when something bad happens, I broke my wrist in a car accident. I did the technique on the shock and the breakdown and everything. I have no thyroid. I'm prone to anxiety and depression anyway because of that lack. I also had a stroke back in my 40s, and I ended up with PTSD last decade from my illness, Graves' disease, and the thyroid burnout. I had a severe case of candida and leaky gut syndrome, and even though that got all healed up in 2007, I was left in a state of debilitating shock and just numb. Okay. And so I was like that for 2 years, and I then discovered this technique while having a fit of irritation, and so I wrote up everything I learned in the past 10 years in my book, Happiness is No Charge, Target Your Emotions. This is about emotions and what is called emotional charge. Okay, this is actually in the psychology dictionary, it means bottled up emotions. Bottled up. In the definition, it is like bottled up emotions that come up violently, like with anger. Okay, so my symptoms actually started in 2001 with explosive anger. Anger is not necessarily anxiety, it's a stress emotion. There's a range of stress emotions, and then anxiety range, and then depression range, and suicide range, etc. So, if you're interested in a technique that can help you stop these negative emotions with anxiety, I recommend my book. Learn the technique. You can do it at any time, anywhere. It's very, very helpful. So I'm Steve Barham. I'll leave some links to my work. I'm Steve Barham. I'm Happiness Today on Twitter for Happiness is No Charge, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much.